Hey everybody, this is Chris with Overclockersclub. I've got a cool Ethernet switch here. Let's get this out of the box and take a look. So normally I like to stick with a trusted name brand like Netgear or TP-Link or D-Link, one of the mainstream brands, but this was on Amazon Prime Day as a special, normally around $40. It was $23. And there were a handful of reviews and it looked all right, so I figured, what the heck, let's give it a shot. But there's the company name. Now, if anyone knows how to pronounce that, let me know because I have no idea. Cqenpr. That's way too many consonants with only one vowel there in the middle. So anyway, it's a 4-port switch. Normally, like I said, $40 and it was $23. So let's take a quick look. All right, it has a nice metal case. It's got some key slots there to mount it on a wall or secure it. There you go, 5-port gigabit Ethernet switch with 4-port PoE. So here's your uplink port here on the end, and then these are your 4 powered ports. And let's see, there's the model number. CL204, looks like a 1G-P. Here's an extend default switch there. And I'll go through the manual and see exactly what that is for. And then it takes a regular AC power cable there, which is nice because a lot of times the adapters get misplaced or lost. I like just a good old standard AC cable. Plug it in and forget about it. And it also comes with some little side brackets to mount it if you like in a rack to be rack mounted. So far what I see I like. It looks to be decent quality in that regard. I have to wonder if a lot of these, not this one in particular, but if you look at a lot of them from Netgear and TP-Link and D-Link, they look so similar. I have to wonder if they're not coming down the same assembly line. They just slap a different name tag on it or label. Anyway, okay, so here's the information. The manual is pretty simple and straightforward, but usually a little switch like that, this is for, I believe, if you have a really long Ethernet cable that you're trying to power. I don't see anything there about it. So I couldn't find anything that really says exactly what this switch does here. It says extend default. So I guess I'll have to play around with that and see what it does. Now, I'm pretty sure this is not a managed switch, and these are all gigabit ports. So I guess I'll plug it in and see what I can figure out. All right, so I got it powered up. This is the port that goes back to one of my routers. And then I just have a couple of desktop computers plugged into this for now. It is gigabit on all the ports. I assume that is correct. I'll run some data back and forth and check the connections here and see if that's what they really are. And I'll get a couple of PoE cameras and plug them in and see how it works. These are supposed to be 30 watts or up to 30 watts per port. And so far so good. All right, so part of another review is for these 4 power over Ethernet cameras. So I just have them sort of mounted temporarily, but I have all of them now plugged into this switch. So even though each one of those ports is rated at a max of 30 watts, these cameras are not drawing 30 watts per camera, but I don't have anything that draws any more than that. But it is having no problems at all powering all 4 of these cameras, which is not really a surprise. And then you can see the yellow light there on the left, kind of hard to point to there. The yellow light indicates that it is power over Ethernet. The power over Ethernet is active, and then the green is Ethernet activity. All right, so what I'm doing here is I'm moving data back and forth between different switches to sort of see if I get the same data rate. And that's what I'm getting with this switch. And this is comparable to what I'm seeing on my other bread and butter Netgear switches, so I'm happy with the switch's ability to handle internet traffic. Now I know that's not a real high-tech way to benchmark it, but in the real world when you're moving data back and forth, For me, I just want to know, is this switch right here, is this a bottleneck on my network? Am I going to see the throughput that I would expect? And the answer, from what I've seen, moving data back and forth, multiple large files, this one performs the same as my other Netgear switches. So I can say I'm pretty happy with it. Okay, so I got the cover off and I was a little curious to see what was going on inside the box. And here's the actual lid. And it's more obvious now that I have it off. But over here, this is actually blocked off. There's another hole cut out. Let me get this oriented so you can see it. But right here, it's covered up. So there's another hole for a port. Looks like some different switch configurations. Then we have all these little round holes for different LED configurations on a different model, which when they put the sticker on the front here, you can see all of those things are covered up, which is fine. But looking at the circuit board here, what I also found interesting, of course, this is running off of 120 volts AC. We've got our voltage regulator and transformer here that supplies the voltage or the power to this main board right here. But if you look here in the corner, it looks like this may have been originally configured, and I don't know if it's functional or not. If you can see there, that's for a regular AC adapter that you would plug in to the wall. People often call them wall warts. So there's the circuit board for the system, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly what this switch does. I'm looking into that, so hopefully here in a moment I'll have something definite. Okay, so as promised, I dug into it a little more, and from what I can tell, and there isn't really any documentation and there is no real website for this company, but anyway, this is a port isolation switch. Now, I'm not a network guru by any means, so I had to Google it and read several articles, and I'm still not 100% sure I understand it, but it looks like it sort of limits the communication between the ports. And there are various network scenarios where that would be important or beneficial. And it looks like where that would come in handy, you would enable it, and you want to make sure this is the last switch on your network, so you're only plugging in network devices, cameras, things like that, or computers, and not other switches. So you're not going off to another switch, branching off like that. But it sort of helps with the communication between the ports. Like I said, you might want to Google port isolation to get a little more and see what makes sense to you. And I was a little curious just to see what kind of voltage is being supplied to this board, and it is just under 52 volts DC, and that is with no load on the system. Alright, so however you pronounce that name, I would say the switch really does what it's supposed to do. Again, I paid $23, $23.99 on an Amazon Prime Day deal, which, you know, how can you go wrong for that? But usually your name brand switches are closer to the $55 to $60 range for a power over Ethernet unmanaged switch similar to this. Right now, this is on sale for $31.99. The list price is $39.99, so even then it's a little cheaper than your name brand switches. Does seem to deliver. It can move the data okay. It's not a bottleneck to my network. The power over Ethernet capabilities seem to be fine. I would give this an Overclockers Club Gold Award. Time will tell. See how long it lasts. So this is Chris with Overclockers Club. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.